But everybody forgot that already, and everybody's like, yeah, we can run Netflix. It's so cool. It's just like this cycle. But no, I mean, I get free Netflix for once. But the best part is that with Netflix, I get international Netflix, so I get like the Netflix, UK Netflix. Canada's better moves than we do, I guess. They just come out soon. But anyways, yeah, that's Tales from Netflix. But good afternoon. So I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a regular on a podcast called Front End Happy Hour, where over drinks, we talk about all things front end. So we talk about interviewing, just newest things coming up, talk about ESNext. And I realize it's hard being a front engineer. There's always new technology, there's always new frameworks. If you were Mr. Rick Van Winkle engineer, and you just came back to JavaScript, you wouldn't ever know what it looks like. You don't know half the stuff is because ECMAScript 6, what's that? React, what is that? Angular 2? What? Where's Angular 1? But it's hard. It's hard being a front engineer, and I come here to tell you I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I'm going to teach you some new stuff, and it's pretty low level, but it's awesome. The good news is, with it, you can build some incredible stuff. I mean, mind-blowing, you've never seen before apps. And this is fantastic. It's not just me that thinks that. It's a lot of smart people. I'm just very low on the totem pole. But I'll tell you guys all about it. I'm going to go into a deep dive. Well, deep as we can in 45 minutes. So, I'm Jed Miller. I'm a senior engineer at Netflix. I'm on the acquisitions team. What else do you want to know? I guess everybody knows what Netflix is. Yeah, let's see if we get into Netflix is. As our CEO, Reed Hastings, like to say, Netflix, we're in the happiness business. We just want to make it so when you get home at the end of the day, you can just chillax, just take a little off, watch Netflix. What am I going to talk to you today about? TC39, ECMAScripts, service workers. Service workers, amazing. I'm talking about the future, about what's coming. And what's important is, why should you listen to me? You should always ask that. Anytime you're going to talk, why should you listen to the person talking? I just stack overflow all the stuff and be like, I'm smart. I don't need Netflix to listen to me. No, listen to me because I'm passionate about what I do. I've made a lot of pitfalls trying to learn this stuff, and I'm trying to tell you guys so you don't make the same pitfalls, and then later you can come back and teach object.entries. We'll give you all the key values of fit object. Pretty cool. Smarter people out there saying, what about for loops? I can see that. Well, for loop actually iterates over the prototype of the entry as well, whereas object.entries only gives you the entries of it. So pretty useful. You're going to start using that a lot in your for loops. So cool. Probably not mind-blowing, but it's one of those subtle nuances that make JavaScript just a better and better language to be. Pretty excited for it. So now I'm going to talk about service workers. Anybody who's ever talked to me for, 5 minutes, past 6 months knows, man, I love service workers. They are mind-blowing, phenomenal, awesome. I'm probably hyping this too much. But let's do a little bit of dive in service workers. So everything about JavaScript is probably going to change now. Well, the way you write apps. So this guy, Nicholas Beck of ponyfood.com, great website, he said it best when he said everything seems to point to the service worker being the most significant addition to the web platform since Ajax. And this is a really smart guy saying this, and a lot of smart people. Jake Archibald, John Frew saying it. A lot of smart people are saying this too, and I'm joining the bandwagon. I don't know about you guys, but when I started doing JavaScript, I saw Ajax for the first time, I was like, what? I want to reload the page, I get data, like, what is this, black magic? That's amazing. Same thing when I first implemented a service worker. Blew my mind. I didn't think it was possible, and now we've just built so many layers of technology we can do. So, let me give you the board definition. A persistent, fully asynchronous, separately threaded event-based work with the ability to accept network requests and task responses. Some of you are looking at me like, what? That's boring, Jeff. You're not bored. No, sometimes I know. That's a board definition. We'll talk a bit more about that, but that's more of a formal definition. So, I like pictures. So, here's a better example. This is the internet. You have your web page, you got the internet. And the internet, full of cats. And obviously, your web page is probably like, give me cats. And the internet's like, okay. And then the cats have to get your picture. That's how the internet works. Tell your friends, you don't need a computer science degree. It's super easy. So, where's the service worker sitting at? The service worker sits in between the web page and the internet. Again, it's just, You can think of it as just a dumb proxy. It's actually a smart proxy, but it's a separately threaded proxy. So when you make fetch events, the service worker can intercept it. So now, when your web page is like doing cats, it's already there. The request never actually made it to the internet. It just got caught in that thread and got returned instantly. Super cool. Only one use case, but it's probably the most common one so far. Link to MDM service workers, great web page. Again, all the links are in my slides somewhere. Probably again. So again, it's super dry, super boring, professor-like definition. Let's break this out a little bit. So a service worker is persistent. It doesn't die when the tab is closed. It knows when to expire. It's linked to a domain on the browser tab. All right, that's cool. We're not any more significant yet. Similar to a web worker, it runs on a separate thread. So if you want to, I don't know, calculate prime numbers out to lawsuit, you can do a separate thread, it won't walk away thread. Pretty cool. But it doesn't die when the tab's closed. And I highlighted that. It doesn't die when the tab's closed. That's pretty cool. But that doesn't really get us anywhere yet. We're just saying like, oh, we have a process that runs for Netflix.com. But it's not dead when you close the tab. All right, whatever. We're building something really cool here. Bear with me. It's fully asynchronous. So if you don't know promises by now, you should. It's 2016. But everything a service worker does is asynchronous. So you can't use local storage. You can't use XHR. There's all synchronous events. You have to use promises for everything. And it's actually pretty easy. Promises are pretty fun to play with unless you're trying to do leveling. ESNext. But you have to know promises. You really do. It's one of the just few caveats to doing a service worker. Service workers are event-based. So if I make a function in my service worker, I can't actually call that from my main thread. I have to use an event. The event does something. And the service worker has to listen to the event. All this, if you've ever worked with a web worker, very similar. Very similar. But the cool thing about service workers, you can intercept network requests. This is where it starts to get interesting. So anytime I make a fetch request, which is an asynchronous request to get data or post data, I can intercept that on a service worker. And then I can modify that request in that response. I know, it's hard to put together. You'll see, I have some demos coming up, but that's powerful. So it doesn't die when the tab's closed. You can modify request and response as you will. That's pretty cool. It can cache responses as well. So the cache is persistent. It never expires unless you explicitly expire it. And it's all controlled by the browser, so you probably generally want to clean up your cache eventually, but it can cache responses. So we're talking about easy offline. Anybody's ever used, I don't know, is it app manifest? No, offline storage, and knows how like janky that is? Service workers to the rescue. It's brilliant, and it's so easy to implement. I have some code, it's maybe 20 lines and you're done. Easy. So, a few notes. When I say this, service worker has its own scope. It has no DOM access, much like a web worker. But it has all these cool new APIs. It's got cache storage, push, a lot of new APIs. Did you know that request is its own type now? Or response is its own type, header is its own type. It has all this in the this object. So when I say this, that's what I'm referring to. Just don't get confused. Like it's not a function defined anywhere. It's part of the global scope of the service worker. Another thing to note: self equals this. Super useful if you're somehow for some reason doing callback instead of promises. You can call self, and unless you overrode it, it's always going to equal this. And it's nice. So even if you lose context of this, it's still going to be self. It's pretty useful. I like it. It was designed to tweak it in there. And service workers are HTTPS only. So if you're developing, you can do localhost, that's cool. Firefox, behind a flag, you can do HTTP, but because a service worker can intercept and make requests on behalf of the client, which is a little scary to people that know a little bit about web security, you want it to be TLS secure. So HTTPS only. If you ever use Less Encrypt, I encourage you to do it. I have a blog post on it. It's pretty short and sweet, but awesome. My website's HTTPS now. So again, I said event-based. So you can do events in two ways. You can do event listeners, kind of like old school, mid-2000s way. Or you can do function-based. I prefer function-based, it's a little bit cleaner. But again, I said this.onActivate. Again, that's just a global left drop of this, but put this in there for clarity. Nothing to it. So when you see either of these events, you'll see, oh, okay, it's just an event listener. And there's only 4 main events. There's install, activate, fetch, and message. Ones we care about today will be install, activate, fetch. Message, just post message. If you ever use that, web workers, same thing, or iframe. Check out the W3C spec. It's actually really readable. A lot of the technical documents on the internet on JavaScript are like unreadable code. It's terrible. W3C, this is actually pretty straightforward. I pulled this straight off their page. I encourage you to check that out. So at this point, we know a little bit about service workers. We're only half asleep, so kind of got something new. How do I put a service worker in? So a service worker is just a JavaScript file. just a JavaScript file that runs in a different thread. So how do I instantiate that? Just this line of code. That's it. Easy. Navigator service worker register. Register, and this returns a promise, so I can say when it's registered, .then if I wanted to do whatever else I want. Promises. Pretty cool. That's it. That's all it takes to run a service worker. No, I can leave. No, I'm not going to leave. Pretty straightforward. So nobody's scared yet? Everybody's still with me? Cool. So again, events are what makes service worker go. So let's talk about the install event. This is a little dense, but essentially I'm saying don't finish install, don't say I'm ready until this happens. And this is all asynchronous. So cache, cache is just a way of storing requests. And cache is map strings to cache objects. What's a cache object, you say? It's a key value stored for response requests, where request is the key and the value is the response. Makes sense so far? So if I say Netflix.com, there's a payload sent for the server, that response is cached. Nothing to it. So here I'm explicitly saying I want to cache cat pictures, I want to cache index HTML, and then I want to skip waiting. That just means like instantiate immediately. Don't worry about it. That's it. That's all it takes for offline storage. Nothing to it. That's, I don't know, 15 lines. Pretty easy, right? Everybody with me? Cool. And this is just a better explanation of that. This is straight from Jake Archibald, one of my personal heroes. He has an offline cookbook. It's fantastic. But essentially, the service worker has an event installed. It says, oh, I want to cache these things. So what happens is it makes a request for this from the server. It comes back and it's saved in a cache. And then we're activated. That's it. Pretty easy. And the follow-up is the fetch event. So when I make a fetch event, it means, hey, I want to get something from the server. So when I intercept that, I say, there's a response going out, there's a request going out, and I want to do something in response. But luckily, since we cached everything, this is just saying, hey, I need Netflix.com. Oh, we already have that in cache return instantly. Don't even make a request on the server. Done. That's it. Amazing. This is so cool. The ability to manipulate responses gives you so much power over the client. It's insane. But enough talking. I talk a lot. Let's check out this demo. So I've got a cool RESTify server, and let's get my local host. And I've got a sweet app. It's called Give Cats, and gives you cat pictures. Nothing to it. It's pretty great. All right, nothing groundbreaking here. You could have made this in like third grade or something. Let's kill the server though. And kill the server. Will it work? All right, index came back. That's fine. And it still works. Offline. Easy peasy, nice and squeezy. No, I said that. But it's so simple. Like that was what? That was 30 lines of code, and we have a fully offline app. You control the cache. Unlike other cache methods implemented earlier, it's like really janky. This is easy. It's pretty low level. Waiting for a nice library to come out to like kind of interpolate all that for you, but that was it. This is like Service Worker 101. Let's go to 102. So we talked about the install event. So when install is done, everything's added to the cache. We have to activate. So activate is called after install. And what do we want to activate? This means Service Worker is ready to go. We've already like pre-fetched everything. So here, I don't know, I'll open a WebSocket connection to a Service Worker. That's pretty crazy. But what's going to happen? Let's go and fire up another RESTify server. And let's go to our website. And we're set. So just a live connection to WebSocket. Nothing amazing, maybe circa 2009 to blow your mind, but you guys are like old hats at this point now. So we close the tab, the server's still sending. Or it could just feel like a fluke of the server, bad programming on my part, likely. Let's check it out though. Oh wait, it's still running. That service worker did not die when the tab was closed. So some of you are picking up on it right now. You're saying, wait, I can push data to the client even though the tab's not open, so that next time they come to the tab, they have a live, all the data is fresh. They didn't have anything they needed to fetch was already pushed to them for free. That's amazing. This is like mind-blowing, insanely awesome stuff. And this is just grazing the surface of it. And I love this. This was the one that like, what do they call it? I grew up a bit in the South, so they call it the come to Jesus moment. You know, it's like where you see, you believe. Service worker is so cool. This is some next level stuff. So, okay, this is dense. I thought about not throwing it in there, but this is also cool. So, I was having a housewarming party, and I was talking to my friend Brian Holt, and I said, man, you know what would be cool if I could send JavaScript to the client, untranspiled, so not using Babel or Treasure or TypeScript, but I can send it like natively, probably not TypeScript, but I can send it natively, and if the browser is compatible with ES6, I don't transpile it, I just run native code. If it's not, I'll transpile it. On the fly though, not on the server side, on the client side. And this is what this does. The code's pretty dense. All the examples are up there, and I'll add more comments later, but that's what that's doing. I'm intercepting a fetch request. I'm saying, oh, it's a JavaScript file? Okay. Is it compatible with the browser? So Chrome 50 and Firefox like 49 or something like that. If it is, let's just send it through. We don't need to transpile it. It's going to run natively. If not, we'll transpile it. So that's our local code. Sorry, it's not formatted. That's just a class, you know, do some destructuring, nothing fancy. And that's transpiled code. So you see the benefit in doing this, and that's what Service Worker gives you. And this is just service level stuff. I haven't even thought of any crazy ideas other than this, but I'm sure there's a million of them. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. But this is one idea: live translation on the fly. This is mind-blowing stuff. I don't know about you. I like this. This gets me going. This is amazing. So, oops, too far. So let's talk about the future. So you've seen the future. Service workers are the future. They're the backbone of progressive web apps. And to get to the future, we need to add some new technology. So let's talk about FIDO. FIDO is fast identity online. Essentially, it's a way of standardizing biometric data for passwordless login. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been on a site that's been hacked, but I have. Like some game form for like 96 or something like that. But let's say we didn't have to use passwords anymore. We just log on a fingerprint. That's pretty cool. That's what FIDO is trying to do. And that's what they are doing. So Windows Edge has built-in, probably the preview build has built-in facial recognition. You can log in your face. You can log in your voice. You can log in your fingerprint. That's pretty cool. What else is there? Web Bluetooth. So the Internet of Things, I hate that phrase. It's such a dumb phrase. But the Internet of Things, you can connect to, I don't know, your heart rate monitor with a web page. Like, how far have we come in the last 5 years you can do that? That's just amazing. So if I wanted to, with the technology we have today, I can hook up, say, a heart rate monitor that's running in the background, and it sends me a push notification to my web page every time my heart rate goes like above 130 or something like that. That's just a crazy idea, but you can do that now, today, with this technology. And at the end of the day, it's just JavaScript. That's it. The code's a little dense, but that's the code to connect to a heart rate monitor on a Bluetooth device from a web page. Not native, from a web page. That's crazy. This is awesome. So what are we building towards? We're building to progressive web apps. The great thing about all this technology, especially service workers, is, let's say the browser doesn't support a service worker, it still works. That's the idea of progressive enhancement. It works even if the browser doesn't support it. So yeah, you won't get offline, you won't get background pushes, but the web page still works. But with progressive web applications, we build things that they just work because it's just a web page at the end of the day. So if you get to a web page and you're saying, oh man, I'm running like, I don't know, what's the new ID? Safari Mobile, the new ID, because they're so far behind. Come on, Safari. But the web page still works, it's just JavaScript. But if you have Chrome, you have Firefox, you have a modern web browser, you get all the cool stuff for free. Because people don't even notice in the background. That's why I love this quote. Because if you do things right, people won't even know you did anything at all. And that's how a progressive web app works. It looks like a native app, but it's just a web page. It's just JavaScript. And here's a demo, and this is from 2 years ago. This is how long people have been working on it. And this is an example of a progressive web application from Chrome. So you go to the site says, oh, you've been here a lot, you want to add some home screen. Cool. Just add it to the home screen. And the icon, boom. Easy. So you open it up, it looks just like an app. There's no URL, it looks just like an application. Sorry that's fast, let it run through one more time. But that's the whole point. Harry had a great talk on React Native about building native applications in JavaScript. Yeah, that's fantastic, and I encourage you to use that because these things aren't coming for, it's probably years, maybe 2 or 3 years before these things are fully supported, and you're like, oh, I'm confident it's going to work over the browser. But when we get there, this is the future. This is JavaScript running just like a native application. And what they say is true. JavaScript is eating the world, and this is proof right here. And so we're going to have Bluetooth. We're going to have fingerprint scanning. It feels just like a native app. Full functionality. Amazing. Amazing. I love this stuff. So, back to the future. Here we are today, 2016, May, in South Carolina. What can I do today? You can start using this stuff right now. Use it on your website. Use it on your dummy projects. Start getting comfortable with it, and then come back and tell me something. all these ideas I had, just like crazy ideas I had. And I like, can I do it? Yeah, I did it. It's just like the transpilation. Totally, probably not feasible for most instances, but it's just cool to try it. And I want to see what you guys build at the end. I've talked to a lot of you who are so smart, so I know you're going to come up with better stuff than me, and that's what I'm here for. I want to guide you on that path and then come back next year to teach you about it. So I have links. There's a lot of links on service workers. The more you read, the more you'll see like, man, people are really excited about this. A lot of smart people are really, really excited about this. And so there's a lot of good links out there. But be warned, service worker is pretty low level, as you saw. It takes not a lot of code, but it's a little dense. It's a little tightly coupled to get service worker going. So be warned when you start diving into that. Really powerful with a very low level. And that's it. That's the whole talk. Here for questions. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I think I have a little bit of time. So.
It looked like, were you telling me that when the install event happens, then you're firing off a bunch of requests to the server automatically at that point? So
Yep.
you could end up potentially firing off like DDoSing yourself when you're trying to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you obviously don't want to cache everything. You want to cache what's critical so that if someone's down on your website going through your tunnel and then something drops, you should have full functionality on your site. But probably don't cache a movie, probably don't cache, I don't know, 50 pictures, but just enough to get the site running. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a caveat of firing off a bunch of requests.
Are there any limits to how much you can store in the help cache? Is there a maximum browser limit?
Fantastic question. It's all per browser, and that's not openly published as far as I know. But it's pretty hefty. I want to say, what's the local, or IndexedDB limit is like 50 megabytes. I want to say something like that. Yeah. So I think cache is a little bigger. But be warned, another caveat with cache is that when it validates the whole thing. So it's really on you to version your cache and then expire it as needed. But great question.
If I was going to clear my cache in my browser, it's going to affect the service worker.
Yeah, so actually, no, it doesn't. In Chrome, you have to explicitly clear the service worker. And another thing to know about service worker, it checks the server by itself every 24 hours for free. It says it's a new version, and then if you have the code to upgrade your service worker, it automatically updates for you, which is fantastic. Like, fully separate thread. Phone might not be your website in like 2 years. Okay, maybe not that long, but a week or so, and the service worker is going to stay current by itself. So you just update that code on the server. That's so cool. It's all for free. But no, you have to manually delete the service worker out. And if you guys have Chrome, if you go to, you know that dummy page with all the, when you first open Chrome, it doesn't open in Windows like you recently, there's actually an installed service worker there for you. If you go to the resources tab, he's over right now, awesome. Actually, yeah, I can do it. Server running. So, oh, that's all right. And let me. Cool. Yeah. So if you go to resources in Chrome, you can see the service worker running. You can see the cache. I have a cache. I can clear the cache. I can delete service worker if I want to. Refresh the page, the fresh service worker will be installed. Pretty easy. Chrome makes it great for debugging, and that's half the battle of engineering going out and debug something. So, great questions.
I see all the awesome benefits that you talked about, like pushing stuff. Are you worried? Is anyone worried about like malicious use of this? Because that tab has been our window to the world, and now you close it, and I can still be offloading Bitcoin mining to someone's machine or something stupid, but like, do you think they've addressed those or like thought about those at all? Or?
Yeah, no, fantastic questions. I said the same thing when it first came out. Not currently, like we're still early and no one's kind of got around service workers like the malware, but is it possible to establish a WebSocket on some website and it's just pushing you data and it sends you push notifications unwanted and you like your grandma's trying to figure out how to close the tab, and even if you close it, it won't stop push notifications? Absolutely. We haven't figured that part out yet. It's still early days, but that is a definite danger, and I worry about that too. Because, yeah, I can absolutely load a Bitcoin miner when we go to jetnaming.com. And you're like, what's my CPU so hot? I close the browser, and it's still running. And yeah, that's great consideration to keep in mind. All right, thank you. Hope I didn't blow anybody's mind. I blew my own mind again. I love this stuff. But yeah, if you have any questions, like feel free to tweet me. I usually get back to you guys pretty quick. Thanks.